Hello, fiction viewers. It's Kristy again. It has been a while since we've had a podcast, but this week we are looking at theme. So, this is our first time looking at theme, so I will tell you what it's all about. Theme is the central, underlying, and controlling idea or insight of a work of literature, and the idea the writer wishes to convey about the subject. It's the writer's view of the world or a revelation about human nature. The theme is about a subject and what that subject is overall about. It's not a single word, a purpose, moral, or a conflict. So the theme of the book is a big idea which the author feels and wants the reader to feel and believe. It's the same thing that the author feels that the reader wants to feel. So it's almost like a moral, but it's more so along the lines of having a greater meaning, and it can be specific to the book sometimes. Sometimes it can be general, sometimes it's more specific. Morals are always usually in general and apply to everything, but themes may not always sometimes. So they're still broad enough to possibly apply to other books, which is why they can be broad sometimes. So theme is important because it gives the reader a big picture and a reason why the story is the way that it is, why it has importance. So for a reader to fully enjoy a novel, figuring out what the theme is gives the reader a deeper meaning behind the book and an underlying big idea. It gives the reader knowledge about the real world. So we will not be talking about our usual book time and again. The reading process is still going on, so I would not know what the theme is only a fraction of the way in through the book. But instead, we will be looking at a short novel called The Trumpet of the Swan by E.B. White. So, the theme of this book is family never fails and do not give up on each other. So, let's go directly into the book and look at some quotes to try to find that theme and try to justify it. So, in the very beginning of the book on page 50, you have the cob, this is the main character, and his father is an old male swan, and those are called cobs. This is Louis, and he's voiceless. So, the cob tells him, "And I promise that someday I will make it possible for you to use your voice." So this is kind of the start of theme because it's kind of telling you that, like, the cob is Louis's father. He's a part of his family, and this is him kind of starting to set up the process of family never fails, they'll always be there for him. So that's how it kind of starts off, where you can kind of see that in the very beginning of the book. So the cob flew through a music store window and stole a trumpet. And after he did this, he tells himself, "I did it to help my son. I did it for the love of my son Louis." It's on page 95. So this moves the theme even further because it pretty much directly kind of tells you what his intentions are, and this is what the book is all about. It's all about the cob's love for his son and how he's never going to fail on him, and he's going to do what he can to have his little cob be successful, because swans need voices to find a mate, because the ladies are attracted to their beautiful trumpet voices, but Louis doesn't have one of those. So let's move on with the plot of the story to find out what finding out what the theme is. So the cob felt so sad about stealing from the store and causing destruction and injury to the store and the building and the instruments, and just that he stole a trumpet. He didn't pay for anything. All the damages and repairs, those need to be paid for, and he caused them. So when Louis got the trumpet, he left home and he worked at a zoo, he worked for a little boat company, and he played his trumpet. He even worked at a boys' camp, and he played his trumpet, and he got money. So at the end of the book, he gave the money to his father, so his father can give it back to the store because that was his father's wishes. He was so sad about doing all that destruction and not paying it back. So Louis gave his money, the money to his father, and the cob knew the risks of going back to the store, that he could possibly get hurt because the people were not happy with him. So he flew to the store, and the people shot him because they thought he would steal again, and they didn't want any more destruction again. So on page 230, you get, with that, he sank to the sidewalk, held out the money bag and the slate to the astonished storekeeper, and fainted away at the sight of his own blood. He laid limp on the sidewalk, and to all appearances, a dying swan. So we had the money bag, and Louis also learned how to write. He went to school. This is a heavily fiction novel. He went to school and he learned to write on a chalkboard slate. So he wrote, like, here's the money. He wrote how much money it was. I think it was almost $1,000. And yeah, so the cob showed that slate, showed the message to the storekeeper, and held up the bag. And this just shows all the more the love and the ability of never giving up on family that the cob had for his family, for his son in specific. So he knew the risks and that he might get hurt, he might never come back, anything could happen. And he did it anyway because he wanted to make up for what he did for his son. He went to the emergency room and he had a hole through his wing. So it was pretty bad, but he ended up getting help, and then he flew away back to his family and said, hey, it's all good. So, it ended on a really good note. So it's a very interesting book, and I believe it had a very good theme at the end of it, and it all connected so well from the very start to the very end. The very start, you knew that this poor swan is voiceless and he's going to need help, and the father was there for him from the very start all the way to the very end. So this completes the theme, and it lets the reader know that the theme is family never fails and won't give up on each other. So because of the cob's actions towards Louis, the theme is shown all the way throughout the book. So thank you for coming to my fiction viewing. I will see you again soon.